All right, everybody. Again, you got LeftEye E.G.O here, and I am joined with the one and only Stuntman. I call him Stuntman because he's gonna do stuff that's gonna hurt me to do, just like an actor would. You have a stuntman step in. So, Stuntman, what's going on with you tonight, man?
Not much, man. Just hanging out Friday night. Just finished watching some She-Hulk. Got some thoughts on it.
You do your own stunts early, man. Only stunts early. All
Yeah.
right, so I'm not gonna watch the show again. That's why I had to have you step in as a stuntman to do this. So I'm letting you guys know ahead of time. We do spoilers around here, especially if it's something that does not interest me. But because only the first episode dropped, we're gonna give you kind of a play-by-play, or Stuntman is going to give you a play-by-play on some of the things that he saw, and he'll give his thoughts and opinions on it. And just to let you know, also Stuntman pretty much is watch everything. Will watch everything that Disney Plus puts out. So he will tell you, "Hey, I liked it for these reasons," or "It was trash because of these." So I'm gonna let you take it away. First of all, Stuntman, can you give us a breakdown of the first episode, like just a running show synopsis? What happened in the first episode?
Sure. So yeah, just first off, I'm a huge Marvel fan. I've watched pretty much every movie they've come out with. I used to collect comics when I was younger, and this is just my opinion of the show. And you know, if you don't like it, it's fine. If you like it, cool. But yeah, so I've watched literally all the Marvel, uh, you know, Disney Plus shows. I even suffered through Miss Marvel, which was terrible. But
That's why you are the stunt man. You are
so
the stunt man for that one.
so the bar has been set kind of low since that. So it starts off, the Marvel logo is green. I think it looks cool, and then it starts off with Jennifer, talking, and she well, obviously she's a lawyer, but she starts talking, and she's giving her monologue, practicing for I guess a trial that's coming up. So
Okay.
she's doing that, and she's talking to her associates, and then you see that she's kind of just talking to the TV, and then she's like, "Oh, you guys want to see a Hulk show?" So she kind of goes back into,
Oh,
yeah, it kind of goes. So it's in the future, but she goes back as a flashback. That's how it starts off. So when the
okay.
show starts, she's already She-Hulk. So
Oh,
yeah, she's already She-Hulk.
okay.
At the when the show starts. So she goes back in time as a memory, and she goes back to where she actually becomes the Hulk when she's hanging out with Bruce. Uh,
Okay.
and there are spoilers, so I'll let you guys know that
Yeah,
they're
go right ahead, man. Go
they're
ahead.
they're driving on the road, and it's just really odd because they're driving in a car. Jennifer's driving, and Bruce is in the back is in the passenger seat, and
Okay.
he's got this invention that he's made that keeps him in human form, so it prevents him from
What?
it. Yeah, it's really it's like I kind of didn't understand it, but the way I see it, he wasn't healing as the Hulk after he snapped his fingers. So
Okay.
he invented. It's like, oh man, it's a device that keeps him from actually hulking out.
Yeah.
So when he wasn't the Hulk and he was actually Bruce, his arm was healing. So he
Okay.
mainly kept human form after Endgame, so his arm could heal and fully heal. So he's wearing this device. I forgot what he called it, but he's
Okay.
wearing
How
it.
long did they say how long he'd been wearing? I know it's after um Endgame, but like, did they say how much time had passed between Endgame and where they are now?
He he did. I just what I can't. Yeah, I didn't really like remember. So
That's fine.
so he's wearing this device, and while they're driving a Sakarian ship from when he was on Sakar in Thor Ragnarok, actually,
Oh,
it's so weird. It cut its spaceship is like flying, and it like kind of hovers over the front of Jennifer's car. She swerves out of the way, loses control, and falls off a cliff of a mountain. So
I
they're
got
in
it.
a
Wait,
car.
did it do anything though? Like, it
No,
just
no, it didn't do
no,
anything. It didn't do anything.
it is Sakaar still technically a planet after I
Yes.
guess
So
Thor Ragnarok. Okay.
Sakaar is still a planet, and the Grand Master was still alive after Hulk
Okay.
and Thor left. So it's still a planet, but also um, the way Bruce described it was he was like, "Hey, this is a messenger ship from Sakaar. They're probably looking for the Hulk." So there's something going on there. So
Okay.
so they fall, they crash. Jennifer gets out of the car first. Bruce is pinned into the car, so she actually pulls him out. But while she's pulling him out, Bruce
Mhm.
is actually bleeding. So he's
Okay.
bleeding, his green, gamma ray blood, and she's
Mhm.
bleeding too. So once she pulls him out, her blood actually gets contact with his, and she starts like almost immediately turning into the Hulk. But it's
Okay.
almost like so if you can remember the 2008 um,
The
Incredible
Edward
Hulk with,
Norton.
with Edward Norton.
Yeah.
So if you remember when the guy who made Abomination, that the
Hmm.
scientist, when
Yeah.
he when Abomination actually like became Abomination and then like punched him out and he landed on the on his experimental stuff and then
And it
that
started to
green
leak.
stuff, yeah,
Okay.
started leaking. So it got into him. So he kind of started turning into, the leader or whatever he was supposed to
Okay.
be in Marvel
Okay.
movies. So it's kind of like the same thing. So
I
she,
see. Okay.
yeah. So she turns into, Jennifer Walters, or she turns into the Hulk, and she runs off into the woods. Just all hulked
Okay.
out. So
Okay.
then they kind of fast forward after she's hulked out. She's turned back into
Did
Jennifer.
they go right back? They don't tell her how she calmed back down to get
No,
out of
so
Hulk mode.
no, say they did. So it was like a couple of hours. So so eventually they do in the show, like her sleeping, her falling asleep, and kind of just relaxing, turns her back into Jennifer. So
Okay.
they kind of break. She turns into Hulk. You see her run into the forest, and then, like hours later, she's coming out of the forest. She gets helped out. She comes back into one of the city, and they help her out. Okay,
Does she
so
remember what happened?
no,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
she kind of doesn't remember what happened, mostly because nothing really happened. But
Okay.
she just knows that, hey, you know what? I'm not. I'm different. I've turned into something else. So
Okay.
after she gets back into the city, she calls Bruce, and which is crazy, is Bruce is living in Mexico. He's living in Mexico, um, and he's living in Mexico because during the blip, he stayed there. He stayed in this little his little laboratory, and this is where he was able to combine Bruce and Professor Hulk. So this is where he
Okay.
did, and this is where him and Tony spent, during the blip when Tony was kind of like struggling with what had happened, with what had happened during before Endgame, during like
Okay.
after Infinity War. So this is where he was struggling. So they would hang out, and actually Tony actually helped them build the laboratory. So and it was pretty cool because they brought up Tony a couple of times. It was cool because he had good memories of Tony, and it wasn't
Okay.
so sad. But it was cool, to just to hear Tony's name and in a good light. But
Okay.
what was just really weird is that Jennifer Walters has this weird obsession with like Captain America's like
I
virginity.
heard about that. It was
It's
a
so weird.
weird.
Like she was trying to figure out when he like first did it or whatever. Like I kind of don't know if they were trying to get it, like if he was like, I don't know, just a virgin when he died or whatever the case may be. It was just really weird. I don't know. I kind of don't
Okay.
understand why they were going in that direction. But anyways,
Okay. Yeah.
so
Go ahead.
when she goes to Hulk's Bruce's laboratory, she's back to Jennifer Walters, and so
Okay.
he's under the impression that she is exactly like Hulk when he first started turning into
Hmm.
the Incredible Hulk, where he
Oh
didn't
yeah.
remember, he had an alter ego, he was angry, he was upset, he just whatever made him mad, he ticked off, he never remembered a thing. So he starts giving her tests, and then she starts, he puts her in a room with these blades, and she ends up
Hmm.
destroying the little room. And then
Okay.
once she gets out the room, he's kind of like, oh my God, you need to calm down, blah, blah, blah. He didn't realize that she was still conscious. She was still able
Okay.
to talk and, be aware of her surroundings, but also be, hulked out.
In Hulk form. Okay.
So he's saying that he did some DNA testing and that for some strange reason that her blood and everything, her DNA was just a little bit like, I guess he said like special, like more elevated. So she's technically able to not need an alter ego
to separate the two.
to separate. So like she can still be conscious and know what is going on, which is, I don't understand. I think that was just the point with Marvel, just to kind of make her. It makes the story less confusing and less complicated. Since they're doing these Disney Plus shows, which they didn't do in the first 10 years of Marvel, this is what they're doing to speed up the storylines, so they can all have so they can actually bring, if they're actually going to do a Secret Wars, they can bring all these superheroes together, at a faster pace instead of the 10 years wait, every year for 3 movies. So this is what they're doing. So they made it less complicated by, saying she's special and she's stronger and this and that. So after they figure out once she sleeps, she goes back to Jennifer Walters, Hulk every morning pisses her off just to get her going and turn back into the Hulk. And then they start training. But it's almost just like as if she's already been the Hulk for,
I was going to ask that.
She's smart. She's obviously she's smart as Hulk, as Bruce, but she's stronger. She's she has, it's like her skills, like she's so much more like balanced than him. Like everything she does is way better. And she proves it throughout the entire show. Like she could do this better than him. And I don't know, I don't even know what the problem is. I don't know if it's just she's a better Hulk, or they just made, Bruce or Hulk just a giant baby. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. I was wondering about that too, because I was trying to see if I was trying to figure out if what they were saying with her being so good at something was at Bruce's expense. Because I mean, I understand that I was talking to Justin Ice about this, but he was saying, the one thing I could probably give her that she'd be better at than him would have been yoga, because of how because it would be a de-stressor for her. It's like, well, I can show you how to do yoga so that it calms you down when you Hulk out, so you don't have to stay enraged like that.
So she also kind of explained why she doesn't need the alter ego, and it's because she's a woman.
Great at controlling my anger. I do it all the time. When I'm catcalled in the street, when incompetent men explain my own area of expertise to me, I do it pretty much every day, because if I don't, I will get called emotional or difficult, or I might just literally get murdered. So I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you.
If you don't shut your fucking mouth, I will kill you.
It's because, women have to like actually, in a man's world, have to keep their calm and keep their anger to themselves so they don't, look weak. They can't be emotional. So
Jesus.
especially as an attorney, she had to, she made a point to where like, well, you can't show any emotion in a courtroom, so you have to keep your cool. As angry as I would be in a courtroom, I have to keep my emotions in, so I have no need to actually hide. I don't actually have a reason to like hide my anger, because I've already been, trained my whole life being a woman, having to deal with, my emotions and being able to control them. This is why I'm so much, this is why being the Hulk is so much easier for her, and why she's caught on so fast.
Okay, so as someone watching that, I'm not sure if Lady Stuntman was with you when you guys were watching this. Was she?
No, she wasn't.
I was gonna say, because I would have loved to have her thoughts on it too. But I mean, as you watching it, like, what was it like for you having to hear her say all of that? I mean, or was it even necessary to bring that in?
I think they only, I think they made it necessary. They made it necessary in the show, because obviously we see how what direction Marvel's going with the superheroes. I mean, you figure they brought in Miss Marvel, they brought in Photon in Vision and Wanda. They brought in the other superhero in Moon Knight, who's a female. I forget what her name was.
The one that had the cape thingy that was the feathers.
Yeah. I mean, who's the other one? I don't know, it's ridiculous, it's crazy.
Okay.
But they're making it to where the women are going to be the absolute, like, the alphas in
Okay.
this phase. And I mean, it just kind of like just
Goes like that.
hammering
I mean,
hammering hammering
how
that.
does yeah, I mean, well, I mean, I guess that my problem is the fact that I didn't know that the part of the scenes people have been showing about her throwing the benches at Titania. Like, so what is the
So
scene with Titania like?
so that was actually the end of the episode, where she's actually in a courtroom, and she's fighting some case, and then all of a sudden, Titania just busts through the wall
Is
and
there
comes.
any reason or
No,
explanation?
no idea.
So,
Jennifer
so
Walters has no idea who that is.
the first time everyone sees Titania is just her busting down the door for apparently no reason.
Yeah, just for no reason. I mean, there's a couple of theories out there that there's people trying to antagonize Jennifer Walters to become the Hulk and do
Okay.
something crazy like the Hulk, like when he tore up Harlem in 2008, or like
Okay.
in what was it, Ultron, when he destroyed that sound, and
Is it
that.
Markovia,
Yeah,
Sokovia? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's why. But she ends up punching Titania in like probably like 30. She's only in the scene probably like maybe a minute. So like within the first
Really?
15 20 seconds, yeah. So Jennifer Walters turns into the Hulk like real quick, and then punches her, knocks her out, and then she turns right back into
Jennifer
Jennifer Walters,
Walters.
and says, I wasn't done with with my client or whatever. So I mean,
Oh boy. I was gonna ask because I was trying to figure out if in the first episode that you watched, did she even struggle or have, any of the typical ups and downs of the hero's journey in the first episode?
I think the biggest problem she has with the hero's journey is if it's more of a power thing, like you know how much responsibility should a superhero have? If you have so much power, how much responsibility do you really need and have to have? So I think this is what she's struggling with. So after she finds out, she's got all these superpowers and she's the Hulk and this and that, She-Hulk or whatever, she needs to figure out, how much do I really want to be involved? Do I really want to be a superhero? And I'm sure and it was the first episode,
Yeah.
there's supposed to be, Abomination. Wong is supposed to come in. Daredevil is supposed to be in the show. So, and I think this is also a reason why they're bringing in these other characters, because
Okay.
they've made She-Hulk so strong and powerful right off the bat. They're going to try to,
Yeah.
like, they're going to let other heroes piggyback on this, especially Daredevil, because they got to get
Okay.
Daredevil into the Marvel cinematic universe as quickly as they can, because they've already brought in Kingpin from the Hawkeye
From
series.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Wait, because they brought it. Wait, because they did what from the Hawkeye series?
So the Hawkeye series actually introduced Kingpin.
It did.
Yeah, they introduced
Oh.
Kingpin. So, and I forgot, yeah, they have, the new Hawkeye is a female, and then they have the new Death superhero, who
Oh.
is Echo. So they're making a
Okay.
ton of women superheroes. I mean, I got no issues with it. It's just like,
Yeah.
we get the point. Now it's kind of like overkill. We get we
Okay.
get it. We get it.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I was gonna say that if no one else has seen the theme, it would have been you because you've been watching everything they've been putting out, and it's a pattern.
well, also, like, in Thor, I mean, in the new Thor, they, Hulk, or no, Thor is actually like adopted, a little girl, Gore's daughter, who's
Mhm.
now technically a female superhero, and technically probably one of the strongest superheroes, ever, because
Really?
it's the bloodline of this little girl is Infinity. So who's actually,
Oh, so she actually is the embodied part of the embodiment of infinity.
yes. So she's
Oh,
another
damn.
female superhero that they've introduced into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, I mean, I see what they're doing, but
So
not
they
trying to just
okay.
overkill.
So basically, they made her a celestial. Her Gore's daughter is a celestial.
Pretty much. Well, yeah. Well, like
Okay.
a god.
Okay. Okay. All right. So now that we broke part of that down, let me know, because Marvel will do some things right. Like, what are some of the things you saw? Like, okay, well, I like this, or I see where they were trying to go with that. Like, was there anything that you noticed in the first episode that was like that?
So what I think they're doing, because I know from the from the Planet Hulk and World War Hulk, that Hulk actually had a kid. So I think
Okay.
maybe that's what the message was going to be was, hey, you have a kid in Sakaar.
Gentlemen, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
Oh,
Because they're
damn.
trying to
Oh,
do,
wow.
they're eventually going to do a World War Hulk. It's in the talks. But I think this is
Okay.
what the message was, you know, unless they're looking for
Mm,
still a brand new king or leader for Sakaar, because maybe they didn't want the I forget whatever
yeah,
Jeff
yeah.
Goldblum's name was, for the Grandmaster. They didn't want the Grandmaster back, so maybe there's going to be actual fight between Hulk and Beta Ray Bill, like there was in Planet Hulk.
Okay.
Fighting for leadership in Sakaar, or they're going to they're going to do the World War Hulk, because what really made World War Hulk work was
Mhm.
there was a ship that sent him off to
Yeah,
Sakaar, dropped him
yeah,
off. Well, he met a woman. They had a kid. They were going
yeah.
to come back to Earth, but before they went back to Earth, that ship was already planned to explode, killing his son and his wife. So that's what actually made him like go World
Berserk.
War Hulk, berserk. Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much. So I think maybe they're going to go with this, and I think that's a cool thing to do. And I think this is why maybe they've made Bruce and the Hulk such
Mhm.
a little baby, because maybe they're
Okay.
going to eventually make him become like super powerful and just Hulk out on
Do
everyone.
you trust them to do that?
You know what? I do trust. Marvel is done so good for the past, I don't know, 11 years. This whole
Okay.
phase 4 is just something, I'm not, and it's not that I'm not feeling it, but it's like probably the least of the phases, that
Okay.
I've enjoyed, because I was actually hoping they would start bringing in more mutants, which they have not. Well, actually, Miss Marvel is technically the first mutant they've introduced in the Marvel Cinematic,
I can't.
universe. So
That grinds my gears, bro. That
that
would
was
irritate
weird.
me.
That was really weird, but we'll see where it goes, man. But
Okay.
phase 4
All
has so
right.
far been a bummer.
Okay. I mean, if I see that you're trying to see light at the end of the tunnel, where you're saying, "Hey, this is the trough before we go back up to the peak," and
hmm
World War Hulk, you think is the peak that we're gonna try to go
I,
for.
well, so it's still in the works. So we'll see, man. What I'm really hoping for is they start doing good in phase 5 when they bring in. We'll see which mutants they bring in, because it's not a guarantee they're going to bring in the original X-Men. With
Okay.
Storm and Colossus. I mean, we'll see who they actually want to bring in. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So we'll see
Okay.
how good they do that, and you know
Okay.
we've got a few more years till what I think it's what Secret Wars, probably like 2025, 26. So they got a
All
few
right.
years to like fix this and add more superheroes and get you know the game plan right. You know what I mean?
Okay, all right. I appreciate you for staying in the know on this stuff, because I'm not gonna watch it, but it always helps to get
Yeah.
the perspective of someone that will watch it, and that'll be honest enough about things that they
And
did like and did not
I'll tell
like.
you, man. Even if I don't enjoy it, I'll watch it because I have a lot of faith in Kevin Feige. I have a lot of faith in what's his name, freaking Happy Hogan. I forgot his name.
John Favreau.
John Favreau. I got
Okay.
faith in them, and that they'll
Yeah.
do these stories right, but we'll see, man.
Okay. I mean, you got hope. Oh, last thing before we forget, and because that is why he's also the stuntman, ladies and gentlemen. He will do the stuff that I refuse to do. But I know you get down on the PS5 sticks. Can you shout out your gamer tag so people can find you, good sir?
Yeah, man. Stuntman 0311. I'll be on PS5. Catch me on Call of Duty. Catch me on Warzone. You can actually, you know what? I'm waiting for God of War to come out in November.
Oh God.
You know,
All right. Yeah, it's gonna be
hey
a
man,
game from what I hear, man. All
God of
right.
War Ragnarok, man. I can't wait.
All right, guys, that's it for this part for the Stuntman. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like the video, share it, subscribe to the channel. Get with the Stuntman on the sticks of PS5, and we're out, guys.
Thanks, guys.